Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom, serving in some of the harshest situations to secure that freedom across the globe. This is the Lounge with Legends show, celebrating their transformation from battlefield to business. The Lounge with Legends show with Marty the Moac Martinez and James A. Phelps, a.k.a. Spartan 6.
When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he feels like $1 million. Giving back is key for me, quite frankly. We did an event called Suiting Our Heroes, where we invited everybody to come in and basically donate their gently used suit. Because there's a lot of veterans out there, to be quite frank, that can't even afford a suit. So what we did was we had the community get involved, giving food, giving some soft drinks, and basically come out and donate your gently used suit. What we did with those suits is we went ahead and gave them to veterans that couldn't afford anything because they're gently used. We had them tailored. We donated a shirt and tie to go with that. And guess what? When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he feels like $1 million. And he knows he can go out there for the next chapter of his life and feel confident about that.
Bam. Got him. I got him.
Always give me. I wasn't ready for that.
Everybody saw it. I got him. He wasn't ready. He was all like, doo-doo-doo.
Was it more that you cut the commercial off too early, or was it more that I wasn't ready?
No, it actually finished on its own. I wasn't even touching. I was actually drinking some Moac coffee. That's right. You can get Moac on from I don't even have the URL ready. But anyways, get some Moac coffee. So
at least you could have been drinking out of a Bunker Labs mug.
I know. I had to go with my alma mater, Southwest Texas.
Man.
But I had to run the footies commercial. Spring break, everyone's out there. Go get your footies. We're officially sold out. I told you it was going to be a banner year. We're officially sold out of extra small size black. We're gonna have to.
Marty, did you buy the remainder of those footies? Is that what happened? Is that how you sold out of all the extra small?
I have little small feet. Yes, sure. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with myself. This is it's been a crazy week. There's so much going on.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks. It's been a celebration of life, and you're a single. Well, you're doing the private parenting thing right now this week.
I am. The wife is away on TDY, so it's me and the littles having fun. My plan is to pick them up from school and wear their butt out for an hour at the park. That way they go to sleep. And my son, he's on to me though. He's at night. He's like, no Mimi's, no Mimi. Mimi's asleep. He's like, no Mimi's, and so he's all upset now. But it's just kind of funny. But it's fun. We need this. that's what we have to do is we have to support our spouses.
I just need you to update me, see if this is going to be the third night in a row of pizza.
No, it's not the third night in a row of pizza. Come on now.
I know. I'm trying to get you in trouble. Sorry.
Tonight's taco night, but surprise Mexican guy doing tacos. Spoiler alert. Yes, it happens. But so what's been going on with you? You said you had on your fifth session now with our boy.
It was the fourth with Frontline Fitness with Kenny Ragsdale Jr. Back at the gym. It was my fourth session. And actually, it was my third session. I guess the first session doesn't count because it was an assessment to assess that I was out of shape. But it's been great, man. I'm sore in places that I wouldn't think that I'd be sore. And but ultimately, though, it's actually got my mind turned back on. It's actually got me going again. Practicing your rest principle. Even if you got to do all four of them. If you're leaving something out, then that's not a good thing. So I was leaving out
two things actually. Yeah, one. I agree with Nick. He says you're probably eating too much Taco Bell. That's exactly what he meant when he said that. I'm not changing it, Nick. Number two, if you're new tuning in, he's talking about the rest principle. We talk about this all the time. In order to grow, you need to rest. Read, exercise, sleep, and think. It's the same thing we talked about to all of our officers and NCOs and the military. It's the same thing that we need now. And James is out there. He's kicking butt in PT. Thanks to you all for helping me sign him up for this. So we're looking for his 90-day transformation. He said he's going to have a 6-pack or something. But
I will drink a 6-pack in the 90 days. Thank you. Yes, I will do that.
Hey, so who do we got this week, James? You've been excited.
Oh, we got. First off, I tell you, my dad was really excited about this one. I got a call from the chief this morning. He said, "One thing I'm going to tell you: make sure you shave this today for this episode." I said, "Absolutely, Roger that, Chief." But my dad is excited about this. We're bringing in Air Force legend, obviously, right? We're bringing in the 17th Command Chief Master Sergeant of your Air Force Reserve Command. That's a tongue twister, by the way.
He's been messing it up all morning. We've been on sales calls all morning. He's been messing it up. So,
but just the legend itself, just that with the 27 years of combined government management and law enforcement experience, Homeland Security, an investigator. I mean, this is going to be an amazing episode.
It is. It already is an amazing episode. We were in the green room with Ericka before, and it's so awesome. So let's bring on this American.
Well, let me get in parade rest first before we do this. I told my dad I'm at parade rest right now.
All right, let's bring on. You ready?
Let's go.
It's James. Always the camera loves James. Here we go.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being our legend this week.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here. My goodness.
Oh man, and thanks to Rob Garcia, Dr. Rob, for making the introduction and making this happen. So, the warrior strategist. I think he's actually on drill duty this weekend. I think, or this week. I saw him in uniform. So,
thanks to Chief Master. Or I always get. Is it command? So you're retired. Do you go? Can you go by command Chief Master Sergeant, or will you take a Chief Master Sergeant only?
How about if you just call me Ericka?
I can't do that. My dad will not allow that.
Oh, your dad, right? Yeah.
I'll do command Chief Master Sergeant. We'll do that.
Okay, or Chief.
Okay, I'll do Chief. That'll work.
There we go. Okay, we got Bratch. Bratch is another Air Force guy coming in to support. See, look at this. Everyone's coming out Air Force heavy today. That's why we said. We're skipping past air superiority, going straight to air dominance. And
Boom.
If you know, you know. Other people are like, "What the hell is he talking about?" You know. But so your story, I think we talked about this. Normally, we bring on the legends and we talk about, "Hey, what was your call to serve?" and tell us about that. But your story goes a little left of boom on that. Can you talk to us about kind of your journey? Where does your journey start? Let's just start there. Where do you consider it? How do you like to introduce yourself?
Well, sometimes it's pretty amazing to hear it. You lived it, but to hear a special agent with Homeland Security to to talk about command chief or chief.
Yeah.
And we're talking about that 1%
Right.
of the 1%. And then you have to go, are they talking about me?
Yeah.
And so that is pretty interesting to absorb and to reflect on, because if I can, gentlemen, if I can go back a little bit to maybe how I came to the United States from Central America,
Mhm.
and maybe see the journey as a whole, and maybe understand that nothing is impossible,
Right.
that we all have infinite potential. We just don't have the awareness of that,
Right.
untapped potential. Everything for me started when I entered the Air Force at the age of 22. I was freshly out of high school. And I tell people this all the time. When the Air Force selected me, picked me, wanted me, I was a person broken in 1,000 pieces. The Air Force did not get a shiny penny. And why didn't they get a shiny penny? Because my life, and I want to say till that point, not that the Air Force was pretty
Right.
great all the time, right? There was good, bad, and ugly. But before the Air Force, everyone, my life was fragmented, full of violence, fragmented, full of toxic relationships, and fragmented by my own fears and my own disappointments and my own doubts. So if it's okay with you, I can maybe share a little bit of
Yeah.
my walk from
Absolutely.
Central
Yeah.
America.
And that's exactly what I've heard this before, and I love it. I don't know if James heard it, but I love this part of the story. So
Okay.
please do share it.
Yeah. I tell folks that my two brothers and I were three pretty happy kids, very poor in Guatemala. I don't think the only thing that I saw was dirt and mud and ants. And I share how my two brothers and I ate ants to survive. We had water, not clean water, but we had water and food once in a while. But we were, gentlemen, don't get me wrong, we were happy kids. We had no idea that was bad,
Right.
because that was our normal.
Right.
And things changed when my mother decided to leave. And when she walked away from the three of us, she locked us in the little shack that we lived in. And if anybody has been in a third world country, you kind of know what shacks that I'm talking about look like. But she locked the door from the outside, leaving the three of us. I was the oldest, 5 years old, and my brothers 4 and 3. And I remember clearly that I wasn't 5 anymore. And sometimes I spend a little bit of time talking about what those 7 days in that room were like. 7 days before we were rescued. But today, I thought, because we're talking about a journey of being a command chief. Yes, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how a 5-year-old knows this, but I am sharing it anyway. I knew that I was in charge and that I was responsible for the survival of my two brothers.
Right.
Don't know how I knew that. And I spent all that time. We had water, but no food. And I spent my whole time pounding on those walls that I'm sure I can push over today, telling my brother that follows me to scream. But I must tell you that as the time went by, I got disappointed. I felt hopelessness. How can a 5-year-old feel hopelessness? But I did. And I stopped I stopped. And then something inside me would fight again, fight again. It's the
Right.
only thing that I had inside that I can tell you I still have in me. It doesn't matter how many times we fall, you have to get up and fight again.
Right.
Well, on the seventh day, my grandmother shows up with other people that other adults. I don't know who they were, but this is the foundation of how I realized how toxic and broken kind of was like a foreshadow of my life. When my grandmother opens the door, I am standing in the middle of this mess. And I'm thinking, I want her to come and pick me up. I want her to come and love me.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't. She bypasses me and goes to my little brother. So it's the right thing to do. But for me, I didn't take it that way.
Right.
I took it as, oh, I must have done something wrong. I disappointed her. And I am now standing by myself and I see all these people come in, mostly men. And I realize that their faces are changing. I realize that they're covering their mouth, they're covering their nose, and they're just looking at, and I'm looking, they're looking, I'm looking, and I don't see what's wrong. But I guess there was a lot of things wrong in that room.
Right.
And once again, because of their looks, there I am as a child standing in the middle of it, and I realized I am disappointing. I did something wrong. And from a Hispanic culture, Marty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being a little girl and being proper is something that I think all cultures can appreciate. And here I am, all these eyes are on me, and I feel like I am horrible. And I start fixing my clothes, whatever I had on, I start fixing it because I realize that I'm disappointing everybody. And I share that with you two gentlemen and with the audience today, because that's my foundation of what I had to fight against
Right.
in order for me to be in this room today. Different times of my life, people go, tell us about your accomplishments. Tell us what you had to do. Tell us what you had to do to get ahead, to navigate two very male dominated worlds. And I have to reflect and I have to say, I am the one that needed to take myself out of the way for my
Right.
purpose and for my dream to move forward. Is it making
Now,
sense?
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Because I mean, you're starting that at such a young age, and most of us are 5. We're not thinking about. I mean, everything you just lay down. That's the gravity of all that, and what you're having to process. That sets a foundation, right, wrong, or indifferent. But it also sets you on a course for later on to come over mental resiliency. Because you probably had somewhere, whether it was once you had joined the Air Force or something, where you had to do some navel gazing and saying, "Who am I? I'm not what I think I am. I'm actually this. I'm capable of this. I'm loved. I'm capable of being loved," or something like that, right?
Absolutely. The journey of coming to the United States started with saying goodbye to love, because the woman that left us behind came back after Guatemala and us as a family survived an earthquake. And because of the earthquake, and because it was big enough that it made the news in the United States, she came back and saw the conditions that we lived in. We had 4 sheets in the middle of the street. We lost everything. And it was my first exposure really to a lot of death, A lot of neighbors died, a lot of kids died, a lot of elderly died. And I'm 12 years old and I'm being exposed to like raw grief.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes this woman that I had forgotten about. My mother, my grandmother became my mom.
Mm.
So here's this strange
Yeah.
woman saying, I'm taking you with me. No, you're not. So that also opened another chapter, everyone, of anger and frustration because I'm 12, but I am a strong 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here's this, forgive me, crazy woman saying, you have no say. You have no choice. I'm taking you with me. And she does. And she takes the three of us, my two brothers and I, in this, I want to say, beautiful and horrific journey at the same time.
Mm.
Because that walking journey of Guatemala through Mexico to the United States, I was exposed to gratitude, just beautiful people in Mexico that would break the only tortilla they had so they could share it with us because they knew we were hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
But I also, as a 12-year-old, was exposed to predators.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to share this story that I haven't publicly shared ever. I think I'll put it in a book later, but we were, let me just frame this properly. We were offered a ride on the road because we're walking.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said yes to this ride. It's a truck. So the three of us kids get in the back of the truck and she gets into the cab. And instead of going where we need to go, this truck makes a side trip. And we end up, everyone, tied up in a warehouse.
Mm.
Tied up in a warehouse. And my mother, I don't know how she did it, how she negotiated because now it wasn't just one man, it was multiple men. But my mom sacrificed her body with those men for them to let us go and for us to continue our journey.
Mm.
And yes, my relationship with my mother, just up and down. But those are the things that I saw and I witnessed her do in order for her to survive herself and also for her to take care of us three. We made it to the United States. Not good. Uh, we met a man, her husband, that did not know she had three kids. So here's this beautiful, awesome soul, angry, frustrated, disappointed with a woman that lied to him. And for many years, we were not welcomed in whatever home we had. You don't belong here. Get out of here. You're bothering me. And again, it just kept reinforcing what I already knew as a kid, right? I kept reinforcing what happened in that room. So I saw myself homeless as a 16-year-old in Las Vegas.
Mm.
So far, I want to just go back and highlight, how amazing it is that my ID card opened the doors of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a journey, right?
It's a very long journey. It's a very difficult journey that you've been on. I can't even fully appreciate it as you're telling it. And I've heard your story, multiple times. Each time it's like, wow. And then you,
I'm ready for the book.
Yeah, I'm ready for the book.
I'm ready for you to go ahead and write the book. I'm ready to read it because I know that your book and and that's why you're here today is to inspire others. That's why we really appreciate you coming on to share your story, because that's what it's really about, going through those struggles and you sharing and being so open with everyone else that they could use you as a light, so we appreciate it. I'm ready for the book.
But it makes sense, Ericka, now that because originally we started, you said the Air Force chose you, selected you, whereas most of us are saying, I went into the Air Force, and it's taking it for granted. And instead, this was something that was different where, like you said, it's not easy, but becomes a new family for many of us, whether you're Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It becomes your new family, it becomes something there. And you are, if nothing else, provided Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your basic food, water, shelter, team, belonging, sense of purpose. And so that's, how did you come to, and I know we're skipping some years going from 16 to how did you came into the Air Force at, you said 23, right? It was 23.
Yeah, I was 22.
22, sorry.
Well, I'm 16, homeless. And again, I don't have a good model of what good is. I have a perfect model of what toxic is. So I ended up hooking up, if I can say that word in the show,
Sure,
with someone that was 32 years old. I did not see red flags at all. I just saw someone that was going to protect me and save me. And that individual became my husband. So when I went into the Air Force, I was married, 22 years old. And my first night of basic training, I'm really staring at that metal bed and looking at the room, which is a little bit chaotic because the training, the MTIs are walking up and down and screaming, doing what they need to do. And I hear women, girls, right? Girls,
right.
Cry. And I'm just standing by my bed and I'm looking at it. And I'm thinking, God, because that's the first night of the beginning of why I'm here today.
Wow.
That's the first night in which I promised the Air Force that they would never be ashamed of calling me one of their own. That's the first night that I was not going to be hit or raped by my husband. You see that savior, that protector, for the whole duration of our marriage, hit me almost, I don't want to say hit me, beat me almost every night. And controlled my movement, my thinking, my everything almost 100% because I did not know the difference.
Yeah.
I would get up in the morning and ask him, can I eat today? And he would give me permission. And he would tell me exactly what to eat. Or he would say, you're too fat, you're too ugly. And if you're going to be standing next to me, you're not eating today.
And this is what year roughly?
Oh gosh, I went into the military in 87. So the early 80s is when I was married to Scott. Can I say his name?
Sure.
That's
so the reason
sometimes there's a Scott in the audience, and I'm like, oh, wah, wah. But yeah, and in those days the domestic violence laws were not where they are now. Mm-hmm. So I needed to press charges against them, or they wouldn't do anything.
Right.
So sometimes they go, what made you think of the Air Force? Because you're a mess.
Mm-hmm.
You're a mess. What made me think of the Air Force? What made me think of the Air Force is that one day I'm running down an alleyway for my life because he's beating me. And I have whatever I have on. I'm holding on to whatever's left of my blouse. And I'm running down this alleyway, and I see people on the apartment complexes looking down through their windows. And I'm running, and the lights of the police they stop me, right? And I see this amazing officer. He comes out of his patrol car, takes his jacket off, and kind of like puts it on me, right? And then he holds on to it, the jacket right here.
Mhm.
And then he pushes me, kind of like pulls me in a little bit, like a dad would, like a true savior would. He
Mhm.
pulls me in. He goes, Ericka, if you don't do something to save your life, we're going to find your dead body in the desert. And then he lets go. And I'm thinking about it. As he lets go of it, something stayed in here.
Yeah.
That was the spark I needed to go,
Yeah.
what do you mean I have a choice
Wow.
on my
Yeah.
own survival?
Hmm.
That is that spark is what drove me to then ask permission. Can I, sir, go into the Air Force? And he said, do the effing you want, because they're not going to take a piece of trash like you. And I go, well, that's permission. Thank you so much. Let me go try.
Yeah.
So see the significance of the Air Force saying yes to me?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
So that is, and it's all about perspective. Because again, the chaotic scene, you're talking about basic training, and some people, it's the most horrific thing ever. And you're there filled with gratitude that your life, you don't know it yet, but your life you can already see is changing because this police officer helped you understand the power of choice that you have. That, Ericka, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad that savior, as you said, was in your life to do that. And the reason I asked about what time frame this was is so people that are watching realize, look, this happened. It started in Guatemala, but this happened in America in the late 80s. This isn't that long ago. We're not talking, some old time. This is
Don't
not,
put a date on that. There's some old viewers.
no, I'm saying this is not that long ago. Is the point. And it was here in America, and people don't realize this is happening a lot of places. But I love the story of the resiliency, the appreciation, and the gratitude. Because we talk, there's a lot of pithy PowerPoint platitudes that say, be gracious, be gratitude, but we don't really know what that means. And but hearing your story really helps us. When we were deployed a lot, we would always joke, but there was something to it about, well, that's a first world problem. And, internet went out. That's a first world problem. Sorry, buddy. You gotta suck it up because there's worse things out there. Someone's stuck. So, what a journey. So now you're basic training, and then, grateful of the Air Force, and you've already got resiliency. You're starting to build your resiliency because now you're starting to get there. All the way up to and I'm going to mess this up because I've been messing it up worse than James, Command Chief Master Sergeant. Right. That's like the 1% of, like you said, 1% of the 1%. There can only be, one in the reserve. Right. And
yes.
And so that's just, what a story.
Even to assume that, I'll give Air Force the credit. I never do this, but even to make Chief Master Sergeant, we're talking about it's a small percentage. It's not, and I'm not trying to throw shade on the Army. It's not like, you're given, a sergeant major rank or a first sergeant rank. It's a little bit more exclusive club. So that's why I have so much respect for Chief Master Sergeants and the journey, and especially just the strength that you've had to utilize the Air Force to, it's amazing just hearing your story, because how, like Marty said about perspective, some folks just don't understand, they think that this is the hardest thing, but they haven't experienced anything like you've experienced up until then. Wow.
I work a lot with preventing suicide, especially in the veteran community. and especially, oh my goodness, young veterans. And the we look at resiliency and we're like, well, just get up. Well,
Right.
sometimes you just can't just get up, and you just have to stay down until you can move again. And can I move a finger? I can move a finger. Okay, well, let's see. Can I stand? Not yet. Can I make a step forward? Not without help.
Right.
Not without help.
And so we had, I know we quote him often, but we had Command Sergeant Major Mike T. Hall, and he said, a lot of times with veterans, and as we get out, we're not looking for handouts, we're looking for hand ups. And there's a difference, and being able to understand the difference and on both sides of what you're offering and what I'm asking for and what I'm taking. That's huge. We focused heavily so far on your Air Force, but that's not all you did. You also did some time with the with criminal investigators, Homeland Security, right?
I did.
How did all this just start to fall into play? I mean, things started just natural. I mean, not naturally, but just started. You got into a groove, or you got in a pipeline, or
Well, it's all about awareness, everyone. Sometimes you don't see, you don't have you don't know your blind spots, and if you surround yourself with good people, those people can show you the path, or turn the light a little bit on, turn it on, and then maybe it goes back to darkness, but you have seen goodness.
mm-hmm.
You have seen goodness. And what happened to me, especially throughout, I'm again, throughout my life, I have always had angels, those people that would share their food with us,
Mm-hmm.
the people that would let me into their home, so I could spend the night when I was homeless. There has always been people in my life that have given me their hand.
Right.
But in the what the military did for me is to bring that that core value, that dream that I had as a 5-year-old in that room of, I got this.
Right.
I got this, and I am going to prove it. I don't care. I really don't care how long it's going to take, because I'm very patient. I don't care who doesn't believe in me. I don't care if people doubt me. As long as I believe in me, and as long as I don't doubt me, I
Mm-hmm.
will get there. So the Air Force, I was I was can I shred that for you? Can I just sharpen your pencils? Leave me alone, Erica. No, no, no. Let me help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. And I just helped everybody that I could. And and that fed me. That fed me. But in the law enforcement was a little different, because I was so happy. I was happy
Mm-hmm.
that I had a you all of you know my background. Well, here I am now with a bachelor's degree. I am a power lifter. I'm doing Muay Thai. So fitness, I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right. I can put some boys down, and I get hired because of my good grades in school as a special agent.
Mm.
So I'm happy. Just big, this huge step, because it's not easy to become a special agent.
Right.
Mhm.
But then I get assigned to this group of, and forgive me, I love men, but then this group of men that saw me come in the room and did not see my good grades, did not see my fitness, did not see my value, did not see what I could bring to the team. What they saw was a Hispanic, short, light female that was going to bring the team down.
Mm.
They uh, they call me a twofer, which, if you don't know, is Hispanic, check, female, check,
Right.
and that was what they said, and no one, not even I, corrected them. Well, maybe I didn't because I didn't know what it really meant. So, and um, that navigation was a little different than the military. The military, my first base, built me up, built me up, and I'm like, yes, 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 and I kept breathing, right? I kept
Mhm.
breathing goodness. With law enforcement, I had to physically prove myself, and I had to mentally prove myself to them. I had to earn my place in the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I started with one. If Marty, if I work with you, I would be the best partner, even though I knew you hated being with me. And even though, James, if I work with you, I knew that you wanted me to fail so you could say, I told you she wasn't good for this team, and push me to the side.
Right.
And what started happening with those amazing men, because they became my best friends, is that I wasn't fighting them. I was fighting ignorance. I was fighting the unknown. I was fighting their own fears of it was I was the first female they ever worked with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't against me, and it wasn't me against them. It was just the environment that we were trying to fit in.
Right.
I hope I'm making sense
No,
with what
absolutely. It's
yeah.
it was, and also during now that time. Now we're in '90s, probably, right? Um,
Yes, early 90s is when I got selected as an agent.
and so even then, there's still racism is still rampant in the military, and not just not on the female side, on the male side too. If you're not, if you don't look like, and people were very vocal about it, and so
Mhm.
especially coming from Texas, like for me, I'm like, wait a minute, who are they talking about? Oh, they're talking about me. Okay, shit, everyone looks like me in Texas. What the hell? But so it's a different time, as we were going through. I'm not justifying this. I'm saying we were all going through all of this stuff and
Oh,
figuring it out. And I remember,
yeah.
I'll never forget. Here I am in the Army, and I saw this sign that said, "There's a pistol for sale," and it was perfect for can shooting, Puerto Rican, African, and Mexicans, and it's at the CQ desk, and it's up there, and I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, now I'd be like, what the hell is it? Get that shit
Yes.
off of there.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it's just crazy. But you've got all this, and you're building up your resilience, and then so you're going up in the Air Force, and then you're back down. You're having to rebuild it back over here.
Yeah.
So as you touch, there is this ebb and flow, but throughout you're doing it with grace and gratitude, and I think that's what, as I was looking at your website, that's what comes out with your business of helping other people. You're still doing that. It looks like, of um, helping entrepreneurs, right? Is that your big coaching right now?
Yeah, I am continuing to live my purpose.
Right.
I truly lived my purpose in the military as a chief, as a command chief, but in my early years as a medic, in which man, that was an amazing mission of moving, transporting, taking care of the injured
Right.
from one place to another, from a war zone to a safe zone, and being able to touch, like that human touch. Can I tell a really quick
Sure.
story?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is it has to do with a Marine, and I'm a command chief. I'm in Colorado at the airport, running from one gate to another, eating French fries from McDonald's, right? So I'm running, but I'm in uniform. And this man comes over and goes, "What do this means?" Right? And it's the old uniform, so the stripes are right here.
Oh yeah.
And then so I tell him, and he's like, "Whoa, he's like, you're a rare animal." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "In the Marine Corps, right? In the Marine Corps, you would be command sergeant major." And I go, "Yes." And then he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't even be talking to you." And I go, "Cool." And then we're just making small chat. He's walking to the same gate that I am. We're both flying back to LA. And then in the conversation, he stops. He stops talking. And I go, what's wrong? He goes, oh my gosh. I go, what's wrong? He goes, you don't remember me. And I go, I just met you 2 minutes ago, right? And he goes, no, 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 no. He goes, okay, were you in Iraq? Yes. Were you, in like airback? And I go, that's what I did for years. And then he kind of like just, his body just kind of like relaxes and he goes, oh my gosh, you are the medic that took care of me
Oh, wow.
coming out of Iraq, going to Germany. And I'm thinking, what are the odds, everyone? I mean, it's like, how amazing
Yeah.
is this life? What are the odds of me meeting this amazing man? And then he closes the loop. He closes the loop by saying, because of you, it wasn't just me. You know that, right? It's the big system and everybody else, but I'm the one in front of him. And he's like, because of you, I am married and I have a son.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's amazing, right? So I'm like in this little shock of,
I imagine.
life is so good. And then I'm thinking, I'm looking at him, but I'm going back to everything, like little flashes of my whole life. And I'm going, if I needed to go through this for him, I would do it again. If I have to go through this for him to be here today, I would do it again. And it just clarified that I needed to go through everything in my life for me to be in this room sharing the story of this amazing Marine, and for me to be at the baggage claim in LAX, and for me to be on one side and for him to be on the other side of that baggage claim, with his arm around his wife and doing this, showcase this little boy.
Wow.
That's the power, just those moments we take them for granted. We don't know, because we don't know the big picture. We don't have the plan. We are, so our little moment to us that we might forget about might be that change of moment for someone in their life, that clarity that they've been looking for.
Yeah.
So, and that's what, I can see so many moments of clarity just by listening to your story. And I'm still, I'm ready for the book. This is going to be an amazing book. I mean, we haven't even gotten fully into your story. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh,
we need round 2 of this.
Yeah, we're gonna have this one's a part 2 for sure, part 3 maybe even. So,
Ericka, tell us about what you're doing now, because I don't want to cut you short on that.
Yeah.
I want to know more about your enterprise.
Yes. I retired from the Air Force in 2019 and retired from Homeland in 2021. And Homeland was kind enough to allow me to open up my business because they knew that, I only had a couple of years left. And so I opened up my own coaching business, Ericka Kelly Enterprises, in which I keep doing it. I keep meeting amazing people, help military in transition from active duty to civilian, do master classes when it comes to communication and leadership. I wrote a book with another retired command chief called Persistence. And I'm just having an amazing time because of the awareness that I have of what I need to do in my journey.
It's who's your focus? Who's your ideal people that you help with your with Ericka Kelly Enterprises?
Yeah, like my perfect avatar, right? My perfect client. I have a few gentlemen. I have a few. There are women that are my perfect avatar because of their self-limiting beliefs, and I can help them with that. There are people in this amazing country that I defend and protect and will still do with my life, that are still ignorant about being inclusive and making people feel like they belong in a place. So I help people with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I also talk to immigrant communities about my immigrant journey, really, step by step, what happened in that walk, and in the military, my love, right, the military, in which I continue to help them, in any way I can.
So before we started the show today, you said we're going to mention something. I want to make sure we get the opportunity. You wanted to say something about your son, so I wanted to make sure that you had that opportunity to do that.
We're just about to do that, James.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my
I was reading
goodness.
mine.
Good catch.
Yeah, thank you. My sons are 26 and 23. The 26-year-old has been a paramedic for maybe 5-6 years now, and he just got selected to go into the Army, Marty and James, and he got a contract to be Special Forces.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So I'm super excited for him. I mean, I know the journey that he has in front of him. And then my little one, his name is Sean. He wants to be an entrepreneur. He doesn't want to work for anybody, so he's doing his own thing. But what I wanted to share with the two of you and with the audience is that, I this whole time I've been talking about my journey and how amazing 32 and a half years in the military were, and how 27 years in law enforcement were. But at the end of the day, because life is not perfect ever, just because I walked away from that toxic and violent marriage doesn't mean that I was still a good mate picker, if I can say that.
Right.
So I saw myself, everyone, with two little boys, a 4 and a 7-year-old, and me, a single parent, still deploying, still fighting to prove my value in law enforcement, and still doing my 100% in two different worlds, so I could continue the fight of showcasing that someone that comes from my background can still make it. And sometimes people say, any regrets, Chief? Any regrets, Ericka? And sometimes I go, none. Because if I would change something, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
And that sounds amazing, but, and underline, but, there was a payment to be made for that military career. There was a payment that someone had to make for that law enforcement career.
Yeah.
And the payment were my sons, everyone.
Right.
I don't know where the harmony is of taking care, but I'm telling you that the trade-off for me, and it's embarrassing to say, but the trade-off for me was that I had to leave my two little ones with a friend, not even a family member, a friend, anytime I had to deploy, anytime I had to do an arrest, anytime I had to do a search warrant. And those young men now are amazing. But I'm here to tell you that they have the scars of being my sons.
I think that is the perfect segue into the freedom means question, which is which is what we often talk about is, Ericka, you've served and you've sacrificed so much. What we want to ask is, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom to me is having a choice, having the awareness that I have potential to do something. My whole life, or at least when I was growing up, I did not have a choice. And my mind told me I didn't have a choice. So I was okay with the circumstances that I was in. Freedom, everyone, to me anyway, is having this amazing choice to go left, go right, go up, go down, but it's my decision, no one else's. The consequences are mine. The choice of defending the United States, the choice of taking risk, the choice of being an immigrant, being a woman, being a warrior in the military, and standing for what I believe, and not allowing fear to paralyze me.
Wow.
That's what freedom is to me.
Boom. I love it. Freedom of choice. And I mean, that is huge. It is, and it's beautiful. And it definitely comes through with your story and your message here. Yeah, what I want to share is we put it on here on the ticker and we put it in there. Please go check out Ericka Kelly Enterprise.com. She's got the coaching, she's got the book, she's got her mastermind. I'm looking at it over here, diversity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So much, and such a powerful story. I really appreciate you coming on, being open, transparent, full of grace and gratitude as you've come on. And thank you for being our legend. And you truly are a legend. So thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. We're going to put you in the green room real quick and close out the show, but we'll follow up here in a little bit. Thank you so much. James, dude.
I gotta salute that. Oh,
Yeah.
It just shows that it's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens that we can control. So, I mean, choice. I mean, that was a great episode. Not surprised. I would expect nothing less from a command chief master sergeant.
Right. That was powerful. And again, thank you for the story. And again, it's right in line with what we talk about. It's about resiliency. And we often say, and I appreciate Ericka saying it, is, I always say, get knocked down 9, get up 10. But she highlighted, sometimes you got to take a moment, assess the situation and figure out, okay, what do I need to get up? And how can I get the hand up? So,
yeah. And the other takeaway, there's a price. It comes at a cost,
right?
For her, she was open with us so many times, and even at the end when she's talking about her sons and a relationship there, I mean, to share that information, I mean, that's the truth, though. That's the honesty about the lives that we choose in law enforcement or military service. There is a sacrifice.
Absolutely. Next week will be recorded. We're going to be in Nashville doing our workshop.
I'll be meeting Jason Aldean, singing on the stage with Jason Aldean, I think.
Gosh, he'll be singing Milan again. We're going to be at all the places, but we'll do that. We've got Bill McCluskey, author of Get Off Your Assets. So for those people that are looking to leave their side hustle or their job and to make their side hustle their main hustle, what are the things you need to do? So check out his book, Get Off Your Assets. It's a great book. He'll be on the show. He's also in Nashville, so we're going to meet up with him. And then I do believe we're going to meet the winner of the pitch contest from 2 weeks ago with Powerful Professionals. So
that's
Amy Dearhearts. So that'll be pretty cool. Another singer. You can sing to her. But
I'll be intimidated. I'll keep my singing to myself. Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you, Ericka. Thanks for sharing with us. And I'd be okay with doing a round 2 with Ericka.
Absolutely. Part 2 coming.
So, all right, we're going to close it out. I appreciate it, and be legendary. Airbomb.
You've been watching the Lounge with Legend show, countering the narrative that veterans are all broken misfit toys. Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom. Serving in harsh situations, coupled with their training, have forged them into some of the most resilient and capable leaders in the world. And that's where we come in, celebrating the success stories, taking you on a journey of transformation from military to business. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. But find us on Facebook at Lounge with Legend or at JTF214. Till next time.